and Pendergast with today's headlines.
All right, let's start with the Texans and the Tank Dell news. Came down yesterday afternoon. And Tank Dell, if you missed the news, he was one of a handful of victims, 10 in total, involved in a shooting in Sanford, Florida at a private event on Saturday night. The shooting took place early Sunday morning, like just after midnight. No casualties. In fact, everybody, the 10 victims, all treated at a local medical facility, including Tank Dell. And he's back. He presumably is back in Houston. He was traveling back here yesterday. The Texans put out a statement yesterday afternoon saying, "We've been made aware that Tank Dell was a victim of a shooting in Sanford, Florida last night. He sustained a minor wound, but has been released from the hospital, and he is in good spirits. We are in contact with him and his family, and will provide more updates when appropriate. But we ask that you please respect his privacy at this time. Thoughts and prayers with everyone involved in the incident." The shooter was a 16-year-old. There was an altercation at the party. Some video surfaced I saw last night, Seth, of the actual melee that had ensued. The video is kind of choppy. The video is very choppy, but you can see the melee ensuing, and then some footage of people running for cover. You can hear the shots. It's the same jarring stuff we feel like we see way too much. But yeah, 16-year-old shooter who's been apprehended and charged with all sorts of different felonies, potentially.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Obviously there's the human side of thing, which is, thank goodness that nobody was seriously injured. But then there's the football side of things where you wonder, okay, when it comes to shootings, a minor injury is usually like, oh, thank goodness, it's not life-threatening. When it comes to football, that same injury might be a little bit more football-threatening.
Maybe.
So, I don't know. Who are the notable guys who got shot with minor injuries, but it affected? Like Joey Porter got shot in the butt.
Dude, I have no idea.
And I think he missed some time with that, right? So that's a minor.
Remember.
You get shot in the buttocks. Like it's not a life-threatening. I would call it a minor injury, but you try to play football, then that's a whole different deal.
Yeah.
Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump got shot in the buttocks.
He did.
But he was able to carry his friend out of danger, right?
He was.
Yeah.
The adrenaline kicked in. Yeah. Him on a plane 12 hours afterwards is probably a pretty good sign, I would say, that he's flying
And to be clear,
back.
everybody, I don't know if I doubt it was a shot in the buttocks if he was sitting on an airplane.
Right.
Yeah.
So Tank Dell back in Houston, and I'm guessing we'll learn more as the week rolls on. Meanwhile, the draft took place over the weekend. Texans picks were all on Friday and Saturday. They've got 9 new rookies plus a few undrafted free agents that they signed. D'Amico Ryans is excited about the class they've brought in.
We're very excited about all the guys that we brought in. Feel like all these guys are quality players that add to the depth, add to the competition of our team, and so we're excited about the guys. We like all the guys that we were able to pick, and we want to work with these guys. And we're fired up about it.
Do you have a favorite pick in this draft by them, Seth?
Okay, I'm a little bit torn on that. I think Cade Stover is the go-to because it feels like at least according to Draftniks and whatnot, that was the value pick. I like the upside of Cade Stover in that he's still learning the tight end position. And he's got a toughness about him. He's everything you expect a farm kid to be. Like he just certainly doesn't look like he's afraid to get his hands dirty. And some of my concerns and reservations about the blocking are definitely, like, after watching and listening to people, it's more a matter of just needing more time and just more technique and more reps at it than it is anything else. He's willing to do it, but this is the modern NFL where that's not a deal breaker anyway if a guy's not an awesome blocker.
He was a good interview on the draft show on Saturday when I hosted. He cursed. He's 1 for 1 in getting dumped in interviews as a Houston Texan.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
He and I can bond over farming and cursing on the radio.
Yeah. That's right.
He did it. It took me until my 6th year in the NFL. Yeah, 7th year in the NFL before I got dumped on the radio for cursing.
Yeah.
He's already right. He's like a seasoned vet already.
Oh, he's a prodigy, this kid. He's a prodigy.
You got to remember, though, I feel like it happens more these days because these kids get used to being on podcasts where you can say anything.
Yeah.
And then they don't even know the FCC exists.
Yeah.
So they get on the radio and they don't even, they got no filters.
That's what I told when he did it. I'm like, hey, Cade, we're not on a podcast. That's exactly what I said to him. We'll play that audio for you. Censored, of course, but we'll play it in Acknowledge Me. Cade, spoiler alert, Cade's going to get acknowledged. And to be clear, he wasn't cursing up a storm because he was mad he dropped to the 4th round or trying to be like all like, gung ho and whatnot. He was talking about a smoker that he built, and he said it just didn't operate all that well, except he used an adjective.
That's right. Yeah, he said it was a poorly built smoker.
Yes, and not so many
It
words.
was basically manure is what it was.
Right. It was manure-y. Texans. We're going to be talking wall to wall about the Texans draft today. So that's in the books. As far as the NFL draft goes, I would say that most of the storylines were night one. This was a pretty ho-hum week. I mean, it was cool. It's the draft.
Yeah.
I'll watch it from beginning to end. But there was nothing. I would say probably the most noteworthy thing as I was doing day 3, Seth, 4 hours of day 3, the only thing that was really jumping out of significance was the fact, like, holy crap, we are going a long time without any quarterbacks going off the board.
Right, because they all got drafted in the top 12.
Right. Like 6 get drafted in the top 12.
Guys that should have gotten drafted, honestly, like in the 5th round, are now going in the first round.
In the top 12.
It's just the NFL can go die as far as I'm concerned when it comes to the way they got to quit it. They got to quit it with this quarterback nonsense.
We went from pick 12 to pick 150 without a quarterback. It was wild.
Yeah.
Like none the day that you were on day 2, 0.
I feel like, and honestly, I do feel like that's evidence like of what I've always said is like, man, so many of these guys that previously would have gone in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round are getting drafted in the top 15.
You've been justified for sure.
Justified. The other big one too is the Falcons. I haven't reconsidered my opinion on the Falcons. The only thing, sometimes when something looks really stupid, you got to step back and ask yourself, all right, what information would make this not stupid?
Yeah.
And I'm really starting to wonder if like Kirk Cousins' Achilles, the fact that they seem to be awful eager to get in on the physicals and chatting with the trainers and everything during the process. I wonder how Kirk Cousins' Achilles actually is.
God, if there's any like questions to where you got to draft a quarterback about it, what were you doing spending $180 million on the guy?
Well, yeah, that would be the stupid thing.
Yeah.
But it would make the Penix, at least the Penix thing would look better.
Yeah.
Because it would be like, oh, okay, well, they really screwed up, but at least this was, they got to figure out a backup plan.
They've done something stupid. We're just not sure which it is yet.
Who would have thought a guy in his upper 30s with an Achilles tendon tear might not be ready next year?
That's right. Hey, Seth, the Astros won 2 games in Mexico City this week, and
they slapped down the hated Colorado Rockies.
Yep. 12-4 on Saturday, 8-2 on Sunday, so 2 blowout wins. I think the most significant thing to come out of this weekend, because I like the 12 runs and the 8 runs against the Rockies in Mexico City is like
what's the elevation? 12,000 feet.
It was. They showed a graphic yesterday. It was 7,000. The stadium was at 7,300 feet.
Yeah, that was. Is it the 5th highest city in the world?
Yeah.
I don't know, a major city, whatever it is.
I'm not sure.
It's high. It's
I'm
up
not
there.
sure. So I don't take much from the offensive stats. Fromber having a solid 5-inning outing though in that environment, coming back from the elbow, that's significant. You know, because I saw a stat yesterday. I think it was Wexler tweeted that when it's Fromber, Justin Verlander, Christian Javier, or Ronel Blanco starting this year, they're 7-0 with an ERA under 2. When it's anybody else, the ERA is like 9. The bullpen's ERA is like 9. Yeah. Every other pitcher on this staff is 2-19 this season. Those 4 guys are 7-0. So like, okay, they've all been banged up at some point. Other than Blanco, they've all been banged up at some point this year.
You can say all you want about Fromber pitching well, recovering from a scary inning, all of that. He fielded a ground ball and threw to first without issue. That's a big deal for Fromber. That's it. He might be better than before he was injured.
And Joey Loperfido is a Houston Astro. Got called up last night.
Way to go, Astros. You've ruined another young prospect. I'm talking about the players themselves. Yeah. Not the Astros have they've got to bring him up. They've got no choice. Yeah. And yet I will blame the players for ruining another young prospect.
There you go.
He's going to come up and he's going to strike out 73% of the time. And way to go.
We'll see how he's used. I mean, he's an outfielder by trade who's kind of picking up first base as he goes. My guess is he's going to be used more as an outfielder than a first baseman. We'll see.
If you put any human being with a high-ally glove at first base, they'd be better than Jose Abreu.
High-ally glove. Base. It's called a cesta, Seth. Is what it's called.
Cesta.
Yeah.
That's not. I refuse to believe that's what it's called.
That's what it's called.
It's a high-ally basket.
It's a cesta, and they play in a fronton. Okay.
Hey, you know what?
There's a highlight fronton 10 minutes from my house growing up.
You know what'll make you feel old, Sean? When you were gone, when you abandoned me for those few days,
Yeah.
and Sean Bajani was in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they show Highley on ESPN every now and then in the studio. It's not, and Sean looked up and he didn't know what it was on. I'm like, oh my God, has it been that long? And was I that young when Highley was a thing?
It's on the, you know what it is, Seth? It's on the station that carries the Astros. It's on Space City Home Network. And when that's on in the studio here, like that's some of their filler material.
Okay.
Yeah. I miss the
That was big
infomercials.
back in the
Oh, dude, the 80s? Highley?
Yeah.
You